Hello guys, welcome online once more. If you've ever had problem with an aspect of physics called friction, or you have problem with an aspect of physics that has to do with circuit, this video is going to be very useful for you. And we shall be looking at Jamb Physics 2015 question number 1 to number 5 in this edition. And my name is Tutor Daniel. I shall be your host. Now don't forget that if you learn anything from this video and you want to get more content from us that will better help you understand physics, click on like button. We have loads of content that will help you to become a master in physics. Now let's check the question number 1. It says a piece of rubber 10 centimeter long stretches 6 millimeter when a load of 100 Newton is hung from it. What is the strain? Now when you hear the word strain, it is under elasticity, right? We have stress and strain, and the combination of stress over strain is Young's modulus. That's the elasticity constant. But strain only has a formula, okay, and stress has a formula. But generally, you must know that if you are asked to talk about strain, strain is extension over length, and that is the formula for strain. Also, strain does not have any unit, so that means your answer will have no unit. But generally, strain formula is extension over length, just as stress is force over area. Okay, so strain is extension over length. Now, what's my extension in the question? We have 6 millimeter, right? 6 millimeter, right? Now you have to change that millimeter into centimeter, because why? Your length is in what? Centimeter. So you have to change this 6 millimeter into centimeter also. So I wrote here 6 millimeter. Strain is 6 millimeter. My strain is 6 millimeter, and my length is 10 centimeter. You can see it's not balanced. So I have to change this millimeter into centimeter. And how? 10 millimeter make 1 centimeter. So I have to multiply this millimeter by 10 to the power minus 1, because you are changing from millimeter to centimeter. So that means I'm saying that I just simply divided by 10. So divided by 10 means times 10 to the power minus 1. That means you are dividing by 10. And that is what I did here. So to change millimeter to centimeter, multiply by 10 to the power minus 1 or divide by 10. You are doing the same thing. So that's my answer in centimeter, then over 10 centimeter. Remember, it is extension over length. My extension is 6 times 10 to the power minus 1 in centimeter, and my length is 10 centimeter. If you divide it, you'll be getting 6 times 10 to the power minus 2, and that is your strain. Remember, there is no unit, because extension is in centimeter, length is also in centimeter. When the 2 centimeters divide themselves, there will be nothing left, and that's why strain doesn't have any unit. So your answer is option A, 6 times 10 to the power 2, and that is the end for strain. Now that is number 1, very easy, right? Let's check out number 2 now. The diagram shows the length, the lens arrangement in what? Is this a compound microscope, or a binocular, or an astronomical telescope, or a periscope? Now generally, this is not a periscope. Periscope is used to look over a wall at 45 degrees. So this is not a periscope. No, but this is actually a telescope, and it is an astronomical telescope because it has 2 parts. Telescope is used to see long distance objects, like you can observe the stars at night. With a telescope, it is able to see things that are very far away. So, and it uses 2 lenses to bring those things closer. One is the eyepiece lens, and the second one is the objective lens. So this is the first one. The first one is for your eyes. Is the lens closer to your eye. That's the eyepiece lens. Then we have the objective lens, and that is also for helping to bring the object that one is for the far object, to bring it closer. So this drawing that has 2 lenses is not a microscope. It is an astronomical telescope, and that is the answer. Remember, it has 2 lenses: the eye lens and the objective lens. And even from the name objective lens and the eye lens, I know automatically that it is an astronomical telescope, and that is the answer to number 2. Let's check out number 3 now. It says when the total resistance in the diagram, and what is the total resistance in the diagram? Now this is the circuit question. Now to find, look at the diagram. In the diagram we have 2 parallel connections and 2 series connections. These 2 guys are in series, 10 ohms at the right, at the left, and at the right. They are in series, but the ones that are up and down are in parallel. Now the way you calculate for parallel. It's not the way you calculate for series resistance. So, but generally, in every electric circuit question, you must always begin with the parallel. Please take note. Begin from the parallel calculation, and that will bring us here. I have it here. So the formula for parallel is 1 over the parallel total equals 1 over the first parallel plus 1 over the second parallel. It must always have 1 over, and that is the formula. So that will be, I have to find the total parallel for the two of them. That will become 1 over R total equals 1 over 10 plus 1 over 10, and that will give me 1 over R total equals 1, since they are 10, 10, 1 plus 1, and that is 1 plus 1 over 10, and that gives me 2 over 10, and if you cut it, you're getting 1 over 5. So 1 over R total equals 1 over 5, right? And that will give me my R total is therefore, since this is 1 cancel 1, my R total is therefore 5. So my R total for the parallel only, that means for this 10 ohms and 10 ohm in parallel, the total ohm of this one is 5 ohms. So I'll be having it as 10 ohms, 5 ohms, and 10 ohms. Now everything is now in series. Now, so that means I have summarized these two parallels into this answer, 5 ohms. So I have 10 ohms plus 5 ohms and 10 ohms. And for series, the formula says that you must plus them. It's not 1 over. Parallel is 1 over the answer equal 1 over the first and 1 over the second. But in series, just plus like basic 1 student. So that's just 10 ohm and 5 ohm and 10 ohm, and that will give you 25 ohm as your answer. So the total resistance in that circuit is 25 ohms, making option B the correct answer to the question. Let's check out number 4. Number 4 says a body of mass 6 kg rests on an inclined plane. The normal reaction is R, and the limiting frictional force is F as shown in the diagram. If F is 30 Newton and G is 10, that's acceleration due to gravity, is 10 meters per second square, then the angle of inclination is what? Now this is a sliding friction, right? That means it is not horizontal or it's not plane friction. If frictional question is sliding this way, if it's sliding this way, then you use this formula. The master formula to use for the force is mg sine theta. This formula is very effective, and this formula is the main formula for frictions that are having for a frictional question with an angle, that means sliding friction like this. And the master formula is F equals mg sine theta. You must know any frictional question that is having an angle or sliding this way is to be handled by this formula, F equals mg sine theta. Now the question says find the angle, that's theta. So that means I'll begin by removing this mg, putting it under the F. So I'm removing this sign, jumping to the other side to the F, so that theta will stand alone. So that means if I take the mg under the F, I'll be having F over mg. Then the sign will jump over. It will become sine inverse of F over mg. So my theta is standing alone, and that's what I'm looking for. So theta is therefore sine inverse of, what's my force? In the question we have that the force is 30 Newton. So I'll be having it here as 30, okay, over the mass. The mass in the question is 6 kg. Here it is 6 kg, and that's the mass here. Then the acceleration due to gravity is always 10, unless you are told otherwise. So it was given to us as 10. So I'll just solve this. That becomes sine inverse of 6 times 10 is 60, 30 over 60. And if you divide, you'll be getting 0.5. Sine inverse of 0.5. And if you punch it on your calculator, just press shift sign 0.5. Press your shift and your sign, and you press 0.5, and you will get your answer. You just press answer equals to 30, and that's the answer. The angle is 30 degrees. Full stop. Easy peasy. And that's just the M. So you blast that. The answer is just D, 30 degrees. And that brings us to the last question of this video. The speed of light in air is 3 times 10 per 3 meters per second. Is speed in glass having a refractive index of 1.65 is what? Now, whenever you hear the word refractive index in physics, that means the question is a refraction question. And for refraction, we know that the formula for refractive index is just this. It is actually velocity in air over velocity in glass, where my refractive index is this symbol. Now, generally, the refractive index is given by the sign of incidence over the sign of refraction, but it can also be given by speed in air over speed in glass, or whatever you are working on. So there are actually two formulas for refractive index. It is either the sign of incidence if it is a ray question, sign of incidence over sign of refraction, or speed in air over speed in that material you are working on. In this case, it is glass. So we have my refractive index in the question is 1.65. My speed in air is given to me as 3 times 10 to the power 3, and my speed in glass is what I'm told to find. So then I'll just cross multiply. That will become first of all break it down. 1.65 means 165 over 100 because there are 2 dots here, 2 decimal numbers here, 6 and 5. That means 100, 0. So that will become, so that's what I get. Then if I cross multiply, I'll be getting v times 165 and 100 times this. Then if I go on to divide by 165, I'll be getting it as 3 times 100 times 10 to the power 3. I mean 100 as times this one. It will give me this one. Then this v is multiplying 165. The 165 will come under this, and that will give me this value. So if I divide 3 times 100 is 300 divided by 165, it will give me 0.0185 times 10 to the power 5. Okay, now if you solve it further, if you bring it to decimal point, you move this point 1, 2, and that will give you 1.85 and 1.82 times 10 to the power 8. So actually, what you have here is actually this 300. If you punch this on your calculator, 3 times 100 divided by this, and you multiply by this, you will get your answer in this format, and it will give you 1.82 times 10 to the power 8 in standard form, and that is the answer to that question. So that makes on number 5 the correct answer to become option A. And that brings us to the end of this video. Don't forget, if you learned something from this series, to click on like button. We have loads of content that will better help you understand physics. Until we see next time, guys, take care of yourself and bye for now.